G'day everyone, and welcome back to Powersthetics Fitness, helping you to build your body to both look and perform at its best. In today's video, we'll be looking over all the major back exercises, determining which ones are good, which ones maybe not worth your time, and which ones I think will be the most effective for your training. So let's just jump into it. So the way this tier list will work is that we'll be going over these exercises at the bottom, putting them in a tier list between A and D tier, and just comparing them as to how effective they are depending on strength, hypertrophy, endurance. And then at the end, once we've ranked them all, I'll be telling you which three I think are the best for your time. If you can only do 3 exercises during the week, which ones I think you should definitely invest in, as well as I'll be giving an award to just one that I think is underrated and doesn't get enough appreciation, and one which is obviously good, but I think is definitely overrated by the community. Obviously, all these exercises are good, hence why there's no F tier. I'm just giving you a compare and contrast on which one I think are worth your time. So let's jump into the first exercise, which is going to be the pull-up. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know I absolutely love the pull-up. I think it's absolutely one of the most important exercises you can be doing, the most efficient exercises. It's great for strength, it's great for hypertrophy, it's great for endurance, it's great for athleticism, and it's one which is very good for building up to. You can add extra weight to it once you've gotten strong enough. The only negative I can possibly say is that it sometimes be hard for you to get your first pull-up, but that's just something which is good to just build up towards, and something that once you get it, it feels really satisfying, and something that will just, you feel so much stronger once you get it. So, and unsurprisingly, I'm going to be giving it an A tier. So next up is going to be the lat pull down. Definitely one of the most common exercises for the lats in the gym community. A lot of the time, if people say you want to grow your lats and get wide lats, they say go for the lat pull down. And I'm not gonna lie, I think it's definitely a good exercise, but I think that it just doesn't do as well as a pull-up. I think the pull-up is so much better for strength. I think it's so much better for hypertrophy. You have greater access to a pull-up bar compared to a lat pull-down machine, and I just think that in general, you're just going to get better recruitment of muscle fibers and such. So I think that I'm going to put the lat pull-down in B tier. Still a good exercise, it's better than a lot of others, but I just think the pull-up just is if you have access to a pull-up bar, which is a good chance you're going to if you have access to a lat pull-down machine, it's definitely way worth your time. Moving on to the inverted row. This is something which I think is a very effective exercise if you are trying to build up to your first pull-up. If somebody says, I'm trying to work on them to get to my first pull-up, but I can't do so, this is one of the number one exercises that I will tell them to do in order to build up to that. That being said, once you have been able to do a few pull-ups, I don't think there's that much point to this. It's a lot harder to load comparatively, and I just don't think there's as much crossover and in strength and hypertrophy. So obviously for beginners, and I think it's a very important exercise to include, but otherwise after that, I think that there's just much better row variations. You've got the pull up and stuff. So I'm going to put that at the top of the C tier. Great exercise, but not the best. Moving on to the bent over rows. So this can be done with either a barbell or with dumbbells, but I think this is an absolutely amazing exercise. Great for strength, great for hypertrophy. There's only really 2 main drawbacks I find with it. It's that sometimes that you may be limited by your lower back because you're putting a lot of pressure as you bend over and such. And the other one is that sometimes, since it's up to your own torso how upright you are, you may start to go more upright and shifting more the weight to your shoulders, which obviously it still can be a good exercise, but I think that if you're trying to work on building back thickness, it can sometimes be a bit detrimental to you. So for that, I think absolutely amazing exercise. I think it's going to go in the top of the B tier, and just because it would go in A tier if it weren't for a better variation, which we'll be covering right now, which is the chest supported row. So obviously, since you're lying down, it won't be as good for athleticism and strength just because you're taking the lower back out of it. But if you're trying to build hypertrophy as well as upper back strength, I think that there's so much better. It takes away the limitation of the lower back, as well as slowly becoming more upright as you obviously have your weight on the bench. I think it's just such a good exercise for loading the weight up and just going as strong as you can and just banging out good reps. So for that, I think it's going to be going in the A tier along with the pull-up. So next one up is going to be the cable row. And this is in a similar party to the lat pull down. I just think that it's a great exercise, but I just think that it's not as good as either the chest supported row or the bent over row. Obviously still can be a very good exercise, a good thing to switch up every now and then, but I just think that these exercises do better. I think I'm gonna put it just above the lat pull down in the B tier. Moving on to the one arm row. This is very similar to the bent over row. I think it's very good, as well as a lot of the time you'll be doing placing your other hand for support, so you can really take the pressure off your lower back and just really work on building up as much strength and good good hypertrophy in the rows. I think this one's probably going to go in the B tier as well. It's a good way to load up, a good way to shake things up every once in a while, but I just don't think it's as good because you won't be able to lift as much weight as compared to a two-handed, but it's great for building unilateral strength. So in the B tier it goes. Moving on to the deadlift, arguably one of the greatest exercises you can do. It is great for it's probably the exercise that you'll be able to lift the most amount of weight with, and just a very effective exercise. It hits your back, it hits your legs, it hits your grip, it hits your core. Overall, just a very great exercises. The only problem I can really think of it is that if you do it with incorrect form, you're obviously lifting a lot of weight, and therefore it can lead to lower back issues. When I started off lifting, I got a lower back injury, which from ego lifting, and therefore that has been a bit of a long-term injury, and therefore I don't do the deadlift too much. But overall, for most people, this is going to be an absolutely great exercise. Just make sure that you perfect form, you don't ego lift, and you just use it correctly, and it'll be an absolutely amazing exercise. So in the A tier it goes. Moving on to the dead row. So this is a combination of, as we just talked about before, the deadlift and the bent over row. Basically, you'll start off doing a deadlift movement, but when it hits your knees, that's when you're gonna pull the weights towards your chest in a row without straightening all the way up. It's a great exercise for power, great exercise for strength, but I think that it is definitely limited when it comes to building up hypertrophy. I think that you're way better off either doing the bent over row because you won't be using momentum, as well as you won't be doing as much weight as the deadlift. Therefore, if you're trying to build up strength and hypertrophy, then there's definitely better options. I think it's still great for power. I think it's great for athletes, but I think there's better options. So it's going to go in the C tier along with the inverted row, and I'm going to put it just below because I think that the inverted row is so good for beginners building up to the pull-up. Next exercise is going to be the dumbbell pullover. This is a great way to isolate the lats. That's the intention, to isolate the lats. That being said, I've never really found it that effective. I've never really been able to get a good contraction. I've always tried just going deep reps, going slowly. I've just never found it that effective and never found it great for targeting the lats. And therefore, it would probably go a little bit higher if there wasn't a better alternative, but it's going to go in D tier because I find the cable pullover to be such a better alternative. I think that it's one of the things that I've used a lot to really target my lats, to really work on that mind-muscle connection, and something that I highly recommend if people are struggling with. And therefore, it's going to go in the B tier for that, just below the bent over row. Moving on to a few exercises for the traps, starting off with the shrugs. These are a great exercise in many ways, but at the same time, I find that there's definitely better options for targeting the traps. I often find it's a lot better when you're working on working good loads, especially when you're using your arms as well. I find that the contraction is far better. It's a lot more applicable to building good power, good strength, and I just think that the shrug is just such a small range of motion that it just is not that effective for your time, and therefore I'm going to have to put it in the D tier. Now moving on to the high pull, I think this is the sort of thing which is way better for building up your traps. You're getting a much better, your traps are very strong, very explosive. It's definitely one of the highest testosterone receptors, and therefore it's great for building up good strength, good power, and therefore movements that work with that sort of thing, like the high pull or the explosive high pull, I think are just so good. And therefore I think it's going to have to go in the B tier. I'm going to put it just above the one arm row. Great exercise indeed. Moving on to the final one is going to be the face pull. Very iconic exercise. It's great for the upper back. It's probably more suited for the rear delts, but it's still an absolutely amazing exercise. It's great for building up your upper traps. It's great for building your rotator cuff, a lot of the small muscles in your upper back. Great for posture, and yeah, just great exercise in general. I think it's going to go just below the high pull in the B tier. So now we've covered all those exercises, so we'll now be crowning what I think are the three best, the most underrated and most overrated in this list. And as you can see, there's 3 in the A tier, and that's going to be the ones which we go in our top 3. So the pull-up, amazing for vertical pull. The chest supported row, great for your horizontal pull. And the deadlift, great for overall back strength, building up your lower back strength, building up your traps. Overall, just great movement. For the most underrated pick, I'm going to go with the cable pullover. I just think that it's just so effective at building a good mind-muscle connection with the lats, which is definitely one of the biggest and most sought after muscles in the back, and building that V-taper. So I'm going to put that in the underrated. And for the overrated, there's obviously a few different options, but I'm going to go with the lat pull down just because it's often seen to be better than the pull-up in some ways. But I just think the pull-up is so much better for in almost every way. find it very hard to find a reason why the the pull down would be better unless you can't do your first pull up, or you just want to have less fatigue, in which case, yeah, I guess. But other than that, I think it's better in strength, it's better for hypertrophy, endurance, and for athleticism. So it'll be going there, and that is the list. And there we have it. If you found this video helpful, be sure to drop a like. If you have any comments or any disagreements with anything that happened in the list, be sure to let me know down below in the comments. And if you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you want your own tailored program where I break everything down for you, be sure to check it out on the website, link in the description down below.